I think what's important in answering weakness questions is you point out your weakness and make sure it's actually a weakness and just not something that you're like, my weakness. And then you point out what are you doing to fix that. And this is probably the most important thing is solve a problem, work on a project.
Okay.
I read specific books. There's a list of it in my blog. But yeah,
check out the blog. I'm very interested in, your weakness, because I think that would be an interesting question, right? You have weakness, but you have to say it in a good way.
Yeah.
So what about that one?
So I think there are two kind of weaknesses that were in the back of my head. One of them is confidence in terms of public speaking. And so as a PM, I need to present a lot of PowerPoints to executive leadership in big meetings with a lot of people. And I get really nervous. Maybe if it's one-on-one, it's easier for me, but when there's a lot of stakes and there's a lot of risk, or even though I've practiced so much, I still get very nervous. So I think what's important in answering weakness questions is you point out your weakness and make sure it's actually a weakness and just not something that you're like, my weakness. And then you point out what are you doing to fix that. So what I was doing before was trying to go to improv classes, so really putting myself out there, and two, taking the risk of actually speaking in different events. So maybe this is an example, or volunteering to speak in a specific workshop. So I think overall just like putting myself out there so I can be more confident as a speaker. So that was one of my weaknesses. Second one is brevity. As a PM, I'm writing a lot of documents and writing a lot of product specs, and a lot of other people are reading it. If I don't capture them at the very start, or if it's too long, then they'll be like, I don't want to read the spec, like just give me the summary of it, right? So I think I have a problem in terms of brevity because my mindset is always like, I want to give as much information as possible. And so what helps me there is continuing to just churn out more written work. So on my blog, for example, and in my blog I try to actively be a bit briefer or practice like shorter ways of doing things. Or I journal and I try to be brief there.
You just say that you have a blog. What is it about?
I have a blog. It's at mikareyes.com. I write about my vulnerable journey in trying to find jobs, or my path towards the product world, or my thoughts about different products, but also some personal things, like I'll write about my 2018 reflections, 2019 goals. It's a mix of personal and career related things.
Okay, so audiences, if you're interested in learning more about Mika and her journey and also want to get in the product management roles, you can follow her and also just check out her blog. Can you spell it for us?
Yeah, mikareyes.com, mikareyes.com.
That's it. And so for students who are still in school, do you have any recommendations if they wanted to get in this field? What kind of preparation or things that they can do to take advantage of their life in school?
Yeah, great question. So just the context. I studied at Wesleyan University, which is a liberal arts college in Connecticut. And we are not a very tech feeder school, right? Like we're not Stanford, we're not Carnegie Mellon, and so we don't have all these programs that feed into Silicon Valley for the students. So what I'll say is what really helped me, and again three things. As a PM, I like to bullet things out. So one was talk to a lot of people. So I knew I wanted to get in the tech field, but when I was starting out, I had no clue what that meant. So I reached out to people who lived here, tried to understand what they felt about the culture here, what was necessary, what made sense in terms of skills that I had to build. And there I understood the tech language a little bit more, right? Like talk to people and build your network in that way. Second was I read a lot. So I read a lot of different articles. I read specific books. There's a list of it in my blog. But yeah,
check out the blog.
In particular, there's Cracking the PM Interview and Decode and Conquer. Those help with the interview portion of things. So read. And then third is, and this is probably the most important thing, is solve a problem, work on a project. You're going to be reading a lot of stuff and hearing about these projects from people, but unless you're actually experiencing talking to engineers and designing something and actually going out there talking to users and solving a problem, then you won't really understand what you're going through.
Just like you start a project with your dad, that counts too, right?
That counts. That super counts. So yeah, find a problem and solve it. Find something to do with it.
Yeah. So I think that's a really important point. Like, we are in Silicon Valley, but if you're not in the tech field, or if you're not in the school that's really having tech, or you're not in the tech related major, you can still get in tech. You have to find your way to crack into it. But there's always a way to get into it. Right? So now I wanted to ask you about your current team. How do you report to your managers, and what is the vibe in the team? What is the value of the company?
Okay. I'm going to go back to my 3 bullets. So in particular, I love LinkedIn because they have such strong values that resonate throughout the company, and especially my team. One of the values that we have is taking ownership. So for example, my dynamic with Monica, who's my manager, she often communicates, she's such a great communicator and gives me so much ownership, but without just letting me go. She gives me guidance and ownership. So for example, she'll say hey, I think we should work on this part of it because this is what the data says, but you tell me if I'm wrong, right? Isn't that great? She gives me guidance, but then she also solicits feedback or solicits my opinion. I love that, and I think that resonates with the culture at LinkedIn overall. Second is there's this really great sense of collaboration. So how I link it to LinkedIn's value is relationships matter. So that's one of our values, and you can really feel that. So if you want to reach out to executive leadership and understand what their priorities are, and you meet them for coffee, they'll say yes. If you think that there's a project worth working on, but it's in a completely different team, you can reach out to them and be like, hey, let's collaborate on something. I think this is a problem worth solving, and they'll be open to it. So I love that sense of collaboration. Third is the value of members first, and that tells me that LinkedIn is a very user-centric and product-focused company. So maybe in my opinion, for example, the other big companies, Google is maybe a bit more tech-focused. A lot of their engineers are there and making decisions there. Facebook may be a bit more revenue-focused. LinkedIn, I really feel that it's very user and product-focused, and that's beautiful for a product manager. I'll end with an example as well of this members first. One of the product managers that I work with, he was having trouble because he was going to release a feature that was beneficial for the users, but then was going to lower our revenue, right? Because it's I forgot what exactly it was, but it was it's helping them understand what they're paying for, which is great. As a user, you want to understand what you're paying for, but for us, the money goes down. So it's I'm kind of scared, what's going to happen? But we released it anyway because it's right by our members. So I really like that value, and I really appreciate that within the company and our team overall.
Okay, I think we got a lot of information from Mika. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much too.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more content like this, please let me know and comment below.